Bros Podcast.
Two Bros Podcast. Like, comment, share.
13 Ghost TV, one.
We'll see you next episode.
Two Bros Podcast.
What up, it's your boy Chad O. Out here in LA.
Time to get along to the subway. Thank you, Valencia, but I'm about to hit on the train heading to Madrid. I'm telling about Two Bros Podcast on 13 Ghost TV. Like, subscribe, and send us a message. I don't hablo mucho español, but I'm doing the best I can. Peace.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right.
All righty. All right. Good to hear. Good to be here. Good morning.
How are you? Good morning.
I'm doing just
As we creep in
dandy.
the afternoon.
Yeah, creep into the afternoon. What is up with you? But what episode are we up to? This is Two Bros Podcast, episode
123.
dot. Switched it up on.
We switched. We switched. We did the switch.
Yeah, we did the switcheroo.
did the flip.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right, man. A little tired.
Yeah?
Yeah, a little tired. Well, okay, so a combination of things.
Okay.
Number one, my 9 to 5, I work shifts now. So there's a couple times a week that I work like nights
Gotcha.
and stuff. And so I'm not really keen on like adapting to getting enough sleep when you work nights, like how to make that adjustment and stuff. So
You don't do
it
the
takes me-
full trade-off, like sleep and then work. You kind
yeah,
of,
it's
you're
just
melting.
it's hard for me to get to sleep, you know, and so I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to do that. Do I do like a few hours here and then a few hours, you know, before I start to work,
Yeah.
or do I try to get my full, you know, I'm a 6-hour guy, so if I can get 6 hours, six and a half hours of sleep a night, I'm good, I'm golden. So I'm trying to repeat that somehow, and it gets a little difficult. And my son Miles just he can be a terror sometimes.
And he has his hours.
Yes, he has his
thinks
hours. Right. He has his hours in which he says, "Look, I don't know what
I don't know what you're doing.
I got it. You got to work, but
I'm ready to start playing.
I'm ready to start playing." Exactly.
Good. And what's he doing? He's playing with. Is he building things? Is he? You got him.
He's playing
plethora
with
of
everything.
toys?
Like he loves his cars. He loves his trucks.
Yeah.
He loves breaking out his Sesame Street alphabet things, which is
Okay.
cool.
Yeah.
You know, but it's just not cool at 5:45 in the morning.
Woo woo
You know,
woo.
and when he's up, he's up.
Oh,
Like you could tell, like he's done with this sleeping thing.
gotcha.
So he's not up and tired and still like, you know, you can't coerce him back to sleep. You know, sometimes kids will wake up and you can see they're still a little groggy and tired.
Little Jedi
And so,
mind
yeah,
trick
so
and
you
just-
just, you still sleepy. Oh, let's go back. No, he's up. His eyes are balling. And he goes, Miles' room. Let's go in the Miles' room. Let's go.
It's Miles'
Let's go.
time.
Let's
It's
turn
time
on.
to
Let's
play.
turn on. Let's turn on Elmo. Let's go.
All right.
Let's
all
go.
right.
And you're like, oh.
Well, always good to have some energy, and you cherish the moments when they are.
It is, yeah.
know,
You got to remember that. You got to remember that it's, you know, it's kind of like it's his time.
Yeah.
You know, like that whole idea you have about yourself, that's out the window. You got to readjust that shit.
Yeah.
You know, when you got a young one.
Well, for you, it's second time around, but not for your wife. I mean,
Right.
So for her, it's all new.
Yes, it's all new. She doesn't understand a lot.
Right. So,
So-
it's a lot. It's a lot of learning curve
gets
is
right.
high. Her learning curve is super high.
Yeah.
Yours is
Mine
okay,
is like, I get reminders like, oh, okay, this is.
But those
how
moments
this
which
went.
are regular to you are special to her. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, he said hi, and you're like, yes.
You know, yeah, and
So you have to remind yourself sometimes.
there's special in retrospect.
Yes.
Like you could have like a horror. What's the one thing I'm learning, like, or relearning, is that you can have like a horrible day with Miles. Like he could be just really fussy all day,
Yeah.
and just, you know, get to that point where like you just really get frustrated and stuff like that, and you do what you can for him, but he's picky. He says, "Hey, I want this on the left." You give it to the thing on the left. He says, "Hey, I want the thing on the right."
Right.
You know, and that type of thing.
Gotcha.
But then at the end of the day, you realize that you spent
It's
so
fun.
much time and it's fun,
Yeah.
and you enjoy it, and you wouldn't really trade it for anything. And so,
right. Good for you. And who would have thought that having a shit his pants or something would be fun? Like
yeah,
it's like
Yeah.
it works. The plumbing works.
the plumbing works.
Yeah, that's
I love
good.
it. He starts the plays, and he goes, and he just goes on about it and finishes.
You know,
Like we should all be able to do that
it's a wonderful thing.
in a meeting. Like imagine you had a meeting at somebody. It says, well, I think we just, we don't realize that the amount of money we're spending on it. We can reduce our costs if we just simply.
Imagine that. Imagine being able to poop on demand.
Just
and
poop on demand.
And
And it
let
just be socially accepted.
normal. Yeah.
Just,
Yeah,
okay,
'cause-
let's just wait these 90 seconds and let Oren get this shit out, and he's going to finish his great point about how we can reduce purchasing costs.
Grown people in conference rooms wearing diapers
There you go.
and just letting it go.
Just letting it go.
No bathroom break.
you go.
You wearing a diaper?
We got diapers. We got
Keep
the good
going,
ones.
Jim.
We got the good ones.
Keep going, Jim.
We got the good ones. You can piss and shit in these. Drink up.
All our employees are fitted with Johnson & Johnson pads. We keep production going at a high level.
And you can put a chip in it so that you can see that somebody's diaper is a little bit full, and so you can understand. Say, hey, Dave.
Connected to your Bluetooth?
Yeah,
to your watch?
you're at 92%. So why don't you give yourself 15 minutes and go and go freshen up, and we'll hold off for
Change
you.
up.
And somebody says, I got to go to the bathroom.
Oh,
No, you're only at 38% there, Stacy. So just chill for a bit. We'll be done pretty soon.
Little bit of sci-fi kicking in where people. That's kind of what movies are doing these days. They're so bored of ideas, like they're just trying to create these new genres and these new, like lanes of like. Whoa, let's make a movie about guys shitting on themselves. I don't know. Like, that's how bored Hollywood's getting with shit. Speaking of Hollywood, you will be proud to know that I've binge watched
Yes.
4 seasons of Breaking Bad.
Oh, and what do you think?
I am down the rabbit hole and can't get out.
Oh, tell me about it.
But watching it for the first time with new eyes, and I told you I saw the man-made movie. I mean the fan-made movie. I saw the fan-made movie of Breaking Bad,
Yes.
which is 5 seasons chopped.
They
up
chopped
into
it up and they
the 2-hour movie.
Gotcha.
Which I cheated. It's and it hurt because when I saw things, I was like, wait, that's what happened, and I was like, I saw this, and then
And then you didn't.
and then I didn't. So I missed a lot of the detail, as they say, the devil's in the detail. But wow, I am having such a great time.
Oh, it was a great show.
And I am the two of those guys. I mean, between him, I'm finding. Okay, everyone, the Breaking Bad story was meth lab, meth, this and that. But I don't think anyone appreciated the dichotomy here. Like there was this 2 worlds,
Yeah.
but they needed each other.
They needed each other. Yep.
But it was like, as long as you didn't need Jesse sane. You needed him crazy. You needed him. He had to be. Couldn't be tamed. He couldn't.
Yeah.
And having him tamed was not the right. It was like, come on, what the fuck? When he was quiet, and he was like, well, what did he say? What the fuck? Why don't you tell me? Or they just picked you to go on runs with
Yeah.
him? And
Yeah.
so I'm up to 4. It is all of what it has been for people,
Oh, I'm glad you're enjoying it.
And I am enjoying it, and I'm
glad you're
one
enjoying
more
it.
season left. I just got 5 to go.
You got the 5. Oh, so
final.
you left off at season when Hank is on the toilet.
Yes.
Okay, Hank's on the toilet, saw the book, and said, "Oh shit!"
Yeah.
And then the season was over.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's where
Okay.
I am.
Okay.
That's kind of where I am with
Good.
it. And boy, am I having a ton of fun watching it. Listen.
I remember when my wife saw it. I was watching it for the whole time
Yeah.
when it was on.
Live when it was.
Yes,
when it
I was
real,
watching it.
when it was.
And my wife wasn't really into it, but then one day she saw the first episode of season 5.
Oh, well, I haven't even.
We
gotten
haven't
it
seen that yet. She saw the first episode of season 5, and she says, "Holy shit, this is awesome!"
Yeah.
So the goal was to be able to see the last episode of season 5 together.
Okay.
So to do that, she had to binge
up.
watch
1 through 4.
1 through 4.
Where I am now.
So what she would do was what we would do, and this was before we had kids and we were still single and staying up to 3 o'clock in the morning and shit like that. When Breaking Bad would come on, the new episode, I would watch it in the living room. She would go in the bedroom, get on the Roku, and binge watch all the previous
Back
episodes.
stuff. Okay.
So she would do 2 or 3, 4 episodes to
Catch
my
up.
1 episode
Yeah,
to
yeah,
catch
yeah.
up during the course of the week.
Yeah.
And then she caught up, and so we were able to watch the final episode, which I think you're gonna like this last season.
Another great show I've been watching, me and the wife have been watching, is LA's Finest.
Mm.
You heard of it?
No.
It stars Gabrielle Union and Jessica Alba.
Okay.
It is a spin-off of Bad Boys.
Really?
Remember, she was his brother. She was Martin Lawrence's brother.
That's right.
Sister.
That's right.
And she got into some trouble. She's a cop and
Right.
blah, blah, blah. It picks up from that. And
Okay.
it spins off of it. Campy at first,
Mm-hmm.
a little too whimsical for like this flashy LA,
Right,
kind of cop.
right.
They could just go in and bust people up. Where's the fucking
So you can't do this, right?
right. Totally Hollywood for sure. Dwayne Martin is in it.
Okay.
Tisha Campbell's ex-husband or husband or whatever he is now. It's funny. It's witty.
Okay.
It's a nice offshoot. It's got a lot of layers, and I like the way that they pack one episode with a crime or something. It lingers on to the second one. There's an underlying story going. There's like 4 or 5 stories
right.
going on at the same time. It's really fun.
So it's a little creative.
And they reference the bad boy, a lot of times, which
Okay.
makes it fun because then you go, oh,
So it kind of rewards you if you've watched the Bad Boy
yes,
movie.
If you patron the Bad Boy franchise,
Right.
you go, oh, that was when
And you see how
the
those
guy
things
was after
connect
her
and-
with
okay.
the
Okay.
thumb, and Ernie Hudson plays their father.
Okay.
Which I think
Oh,
Ernie
Ernie
Hudson is everyone's dad. He's like,
I saw an interview with him once.
Yeah.
And he was talking about the movie Ghostbusters.
oh, I saw that. Oh,
The original?
or
Or the new one?
No. Go keep going. But
Oh, okay.
I saw the thing with. Well, I'll tell you. Go. You go.
Well, he
first.
was doing an interview, and people don't recognize him as being a Ghostbuster.
right.
And so, he says a common conversation. Somehow the Ghostbusters comes up, and he says, "Yes, I was in Ghostbusters." And, oh, I didn't recognize you in Ghostbusters. Who was your character? And he would say, "The black guy."
Yeah.
And they would go, "Oh, yeah."
That was you. Oh man! But my story was, I saw the. I think I talked about this maybe a moons episodes ago about the making of Ghostbusters
Okay.
and how what's the ectoplasm guy, the writer? Who was,
Rick Moranis.
yeah. No. Rick Moranis is the comedy guy. The guy who played Ecto, who played the scientist. He's a big writer. He's a big. I thought you would know. Being. Anyway, don't kid yourself.
I'm not going to Google it.
Well, don't Google it. It defeats the purpose. But he wrote the whole thing, and the whole thing was planned for Belushi and Aykroyd.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and Eddie Murphy.
Oh, it's for that group.
Yes.
Okay, so
it
he
was
stepped down.
it was a Saturday Night Live group. Eddie Murphy had just signed up for Trading Places or
Okay.
no, I'm sorry, the Nick Nolte one. The
Beverly Hills Cop. No, not Beverly Hills Cop.
48 Hours.
48 Hours.
He just signed up for that. Was like, yo, I can't.
Mm-hmm.
And Belushi was so unpredictable. Like he would show up, maybe he's there,
Show
maybe
up,
he's
not show up, and yeah.
Yeah, and
Scoped up.
and Bill Murray, same thing. They were like, nah, Bill will be here. Bill be here, and they had to rework everything. Ernie Hudson just showed up for like, a janitor role, like a minor role. And they were like, no, this guy would work for the fourth guy.
Okay.
We need a fourth guy. And it was always written for a black guy. Like,
Okay.
But then he wasn't the black guy.
He wasn't Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, Bill Murray's role was Eddie Murphy.
Okay.
The funny guy, the
smart aleck
yeah.
and
yes. It was really, really dope how they went
Interesting.
back and took it apart. It's on Netflix, I think, or it was. And it's called the Making of Ghostbusters.
Have you seen the new Ghostbusters trailer? There's a trailer of a new Ghostbusters.
Oh, wait, but not the one with Leslie.
No.
Okay, not that one.
Not the stupid one with the broads.
Not the Ghost
Yeah, that was just
Mythbusters. I don't know what
just
that was.
Trash.
I don't know why they did that.
Can't even get your balls hard on that. But,
Oof.
but no, there's a new one.
Really?
Which is an extension of the original Ghostbusters. It's called Ghostbusters Afterlife. And apparently, in this small farm town, these kids, or one of them, is the grandchild of
Sigourney
Ecto.
Weaver. Okay.
And if you see the trailer, they'll just some shit's happening in their town and whatnot. And something's happening, and apparently
Ramus. Sorry.
who?
His name.
Rick Moranis.
You keep saying Rick
I know.
Moranis.
I can't remember the guy's
The
name.
guy's name is Ramus something. Ramus.
Martin
anyway.
Remus. Okay. But anyway, it's and they come to find out. Yeah, look it up. Why not?
keep
What
talking,
this is.
You have to keep
And
talking.
basically they find like all of his equipment and
Mm-hmm.
and the car and stuff like that, and it becomes like these young kids now taking on the role that their grandfathers played.
The spirit of all the
Yes.
stuff that happened.
Yes.
Harold Ramis.
Harold
is his name.
Ramis, thank you.
That's
Yes,
his name.
good
Harold
job.
Ramis. So
Good job
yeah.
of looking up. Yo,
And-
look, no, it's Ghostbusters Afterlife, and it looks very, very good. It looks very good. It doesn't look like a copycat.
Yeah, cheap.
It's
knockoff.
it's extending it, and it puts a few little layers about it, like you see it in the trailer.
Okay.
Like, well, wasn't that from your granddad? So we don't talk about granddad. That type of thing.
That'd be fun because people
looks
have
like fun.
people know what happened before, and then
Right.
you got to go back.
It looks
to
like fun because I like with a lot of movies, I'm not big into like redoing something with a different set of. Like I haven't seen it got positive reviews. I haven't looked at Queen Latifah's Equalizer,
I've not seen it either.
but it's like
Why?
yes,
Yeah, could have been something else.
it could have been something totally different, or you could have used the same
concept.
concept, but just as a totally
why
different
call it Equalizer?
thing. I just and no disrespect to Queen Latifah, she's tremendously talented. I'm glad she has an opportunity to show
Sure,
how talented
absolutely.
she is.
Yeah.
We've known for a long time how talented she is.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely. Who you
so-
calling a bitch?
Yeah, exactly. But I just hate when they try to repackage something to say that this is like these things are supposed to work.
Yeah,
you
the
know.
new.
Yeah, we talked about it with Ghostbusters. They did the female one, and it just was, they did. But who was it? When Taraji P Henson did what women or what men want or something
Yeah,
like
the
that.
reverse of it.
The reverse of the Mel
Mel
Gibson,
Gibson.
movie.
Yeah.
It just and a lot of times they don't work because you can't necessarily like flip it
Yeah.
and it be the same thing.
Well, oddly enough, speaking in retrospect of what we just said, when I watched Breaking Bad, the joy I had watching it now post airing or post was that it was 2008 and
Yeah.
it was flip phones.
Yeah.
It was things that you go, well, why didn't you just Google it? Like,
Yeah.
and there's such a old thing that didn't exist then, which I enjoyed about it. And I think that's why I enjoyed that more.
Okay.
Than I think that gave me more sizzle. It gave me more like, oh man, I forgot I'm in 2008. I can't do the things
Right,
I
right.
could do now, 16 years later, 12 years later, whatever. So that's the fun part of it. But yeah, that's good.
See if you get to it. See if you'd like Better Call Saul.
So you've always told me about that, and I'm like, let me get past this. And I also understand that El Camino is an offshoot of this.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah. It's supposed to be like what happens after Breaking Bad.
when Jesse kind of dips off.
Jesse dips off. Yeah. Well, you have to see season 5 will take you down a certain path to understand what happens to
And
Jesse.
it'll get you to-
and
okay.
El Camino is supposed to be what happens to Jesse after all that stuff is done.
Okay, good.
So it wasn't as good, if you
Yeah,
ask me.
yeah.
It kind of just, all right. It was,
I mean, it was a successful franchise, so they figured offshoot
yeah, then
it.
they added
offshoot it
something
and
else
keep
to
going.
it, focus on the
Huh,
character, kind
very
of like the movie. What's that Denzel movie? The Little Things.
Boy, I could not. You talking about the new
The
one
movie
that just came out?
The movie, yeah.
It was totally slow painting.
It was one of those things where, okay, thank God Denzel Washington's in it.
Yeah.
Because if it was anybody else,
I don't know how we
I don't
got
know
through it.
how we've gotten through it. It
Because what's the guy's name? The kid that played Freddie Mercury.
I don't know his name, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's difficult to look at. He's a goofy guy. He's a goofy.
He is, yeah. He has facial features that you just can't, like, you're always staring at his jaw.
And then
Yeah.
the stupid overfight. And
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, what? You? They picked you for this?
Yeah.
And then they used Jared Leto in this weird kind of,
Yeah.
funky.
Like it's so obvious that it's almost too obvious.
Yeah. It's just,
So it's just
it was very slow painting dry. And then to see, it always baffles me. I had this argument with a guy just yesterday about, like, we were talking about Ellie's Finest. He was like, "No, it's whack." And I said, "Listen, I got why you're saying that. It's just an opinion. I mean, it's all TV. It's all
Yeah.
movies. So
Yeah.
what difference does
Relax.
it make?" Yes, there's not a oh, this is, and I said, well, you love he's a Wire guy, like he like loves the Wire, like
Okay.
and I was like, dude, but you're comparing, a urban hood movie with
Yeah.
people you associate with that remind you of yourself.
Yeah.
Him, I mean, talking to the guy, and I said, you now your critique is on a street level of, oh, that's not how you sell crack. You don't, as opposed to, that's not how you shoot a gun and jump over a car and fly in the air.
Yeah.
And I was like, one, you may know personally, you may know how to sell a hand-to-hand crack. You don't know what it's like to shoot a gun and jump over a car,
Yeah.
which can probably never happen, by the way. Every cop that always was interviewed said, there's no jumping and and falling into the... Because you scrape the shit out of your elbows and knees.
You know how many cops will tell you I've never fired my gun?
Never.
I've been on the force 18 years. Never had to pull out my gun.
40-some-odd years, never.
Really?
shot
Never?
me.
Never?
Never.
Never. I take it out to clean it.
Pretty much.
And I don't even know why I clean it because I haven't used it.
Never
yet.
used it. It's not dirty. No, you're right. I mean, it's very...
Yeah, it's
It's TV, for Christ's sake.
It's TV.
It's Hollywood. It's movies. It's just meant to...
we get into these expectations of things. Like the big selling point of that movie, The Little Things, was the fact that Denzel Washington was in it.
Yes.
And Denzel Washington, I mean, I think he's probably now, I don't think there's any question, he's like the top American actor.
Yeah.
If you ask me.
Yeah.
I mean, he's always been there. But
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say that he is the guy.
I would, yeah.
And I was thinking about this. What would so if somebody asked you, what were the top, so let's go through this.
Yeah. All right.
Let's me and you go through bit by bit. The 5 best Denzel Washington movies.
Okay.
Because he's got a ton of them.
Yep.
Some of them were shitty.
Yep.
Some of them I could put in the trash can.
Yep.
But he's got some great ones.
Mm-hmm.
5 great ones. We'll each go. We'll go.
Okay, we're gonna go
quick
one-
counterpoint. You go first. Just pick what you think is going to be a great Denzel Washington movie.
Okay. Training
Hey.
Day.
Okay, Training
Okay.
Days 1.
Out of Time. I like that one.
Okay,
You did not like...
I will scratch that movie out. But okay.
You scratch Out of Time. I'll even go as far as to the one with what you call it, with Marby, with when he played the cop in on the island.
Mighty Quinn.
Mighty Quinn.
Mighty Quinn's a good movie.
I'll go Mighty Quinn, and then I don't know. I mean, 5. It's just not enough.
Yes, I know, right? 5 just doesn't cut it.
John Q.
John Q's a good one.
I mean, they're all good.
Yeah.
I don't know about 5 best ones, and of course, I like Deja Vu, which you don't like.
Yeah, and I don't like Deja Vu.
I love Deja Vu.
Which one was out of? Remind me, which one was Out of Time?
Out of Time.
Out of Time was the one
with
when.
Sanaa Lathan.
Okay. Yes.
And
I put that in the. That's like in the middle
yeah.
of the pack. That's put in the middle of the pack.
okay,
All right. So that's interesting because the only one I would agree with you there is Training Day.
okay,
To the top 5 best. So I would say, I would go way back. He did a movie called Cry Freedom.
yes.
Um,
Oh, I forgot. Remember the Titans. I'm
Yeah, I know.
sorry.
Remember the Titans is another good one.
Fuck, I forgot that. I totally forgot.
I'm a huge fan of Mo Better Blues.
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite Spike Lee movie he did. He
Yeah.
did, how many he did? He did 4?
Well,
No, I think I would put
Oh fuck, Man on Fire.
Man on Fire. I think I would put Inside Man above
Inside Man. I put
Mo
Inside
Better
Man.
Blues.
Yeah.
Inside Man is a great one.
Yeah, I put Inside Man above Out of Time. I'm sorry, and I'd put Remember the Titans over Deja Vu for sure.
Let's see, what else is there? Manchurian Candidate.
Oh shit! See, that's what I'm saying. I don't think
There's so many of them.
Yeah.
Crimson Tide.
Crimson Tide was okay.
I think I would. Oh, you didn't like Crimson Tide?
No,
Oh.
I didn't like it. I've never submarine movie like U-57.
But you didn't like
Crimson
the how
Tide.
like the tension in there, the constant tension. No,
Hunt for Red October. I didn't like any of those submarine.
I like Hunt
movies.
for Red October. U-57 I wasn't crazy about.
Yeah.
Hunt for Red October I liked.
Even this new one with Tom Hanks has a submarine movie. It's just like, really, like all that goes
Really?
on under. Yeah, all that's going on underneath. But anyway, I digress. But yes, you are correct. There's a ton.
There's a ton of them.
Denzel, movies that you could, and that was what the argument was with smaller things or the little things. You know, when a goat, watching a goat and watching him, it's not that he underperformed. It's probably the
material.
The role. It's
Yeah.
probably the role is under, and it could have been better, or,
Yeah.
or you expected better. But when you watch a goat, when you watch a guy like Denzel do, you have to look a little bit beyond the act, like the guy that he's playing. You got to look at what he's doing, what he's going through.
It's hard to look at him and not see Denzel Washington,
Yeah.
because you always see Denzel Washington.
Well, but interestingly enough, I do with Denzel. I always see the character he plays, like like I don't. No, I think I'm the opposite of that. I don't.
Okay.
I don't see Denzel. I see the guy, like Roman Israel.
Oh, it's another great movie.
Simple shit that.
Roman Israel was a great movie.
Great
Yes,
fucking movie. It was just totally wacky.
great movie. Just totally out of.
Yeah.
You remember? I guess it was around the time he was making that movie, but he kind of like stayed in character when he would like go out to lunch, and people would show pictures
Yeah.
of what the fuck's wrong with Denzel. And whatnot, and it turns out he was doing this movie, and he was kind of like staying. So he was walking around with a big afro and a Walkman,
Looking like Pee Wee Kirkland.
Yeah, looking like somebody with a white van and looking for some kids.
Yeah. You originally maybe 100 episodes or so ago, you brought this up and said this movie was coming out, and you told the story that it was not. It was an original piece. It
Yes.
was not a remake of
Not
anything.
a remake or anything. Yeah,
At that time, we said, "Wow, it's so refreshing to have
to have an original story.
a new story."
Yeah.
and it wasn't about anyone. It wasn't a real story. Like
Right.
it wasn't a biopic or it wasn't anything of that sort. So those are refreshing to me because it allows us to accept a Hollywood feature instead of tugging on your truth. Like, so let's talk about the Judas and the Black Messiah. Have you
Okay,
seen?
have not seen it.
Oh,
Heard good things though.
oh my God, fantastic!
Is it? Okay.
What a fantastic movie
About Fred Hampton, right?
about Fred Hampton. Well, what most people don't know, if they haven't gone down that rabbit hole of following the Black Panthers, and so it's a little misguided in how so much happened. The guy was only 21
Right.
when he passed away, when he was murdered or whatever. So in that lifespan of 4 or 5 years or something, it's like all that stuff you're trying to pack into his life.
Yeah.
It was a gradual, perpetual motion, as they call it. Like it just kind of
Kept going and kept moving.
life. Other things were happening along the escalate. He wasn't the only fucking revolutionary. He wasn't the only guy that was out there shaking his fist and causing for change. I say this to say that it's the way they packed it in the movie, where you got that snapshot of his life. They did it the right way because they did it in a matter of days.
Okay.
So it was
Like the final
like the
days
movie
of-
took like 7 days to like.
Okay.
It was like 7 days of his life. It wasn't like a.
It wasn't like his whole life and
Yeah, it wasn't a
whatnot.
span because he was only 21.
Yeah.
So the way that they shot it, or again, my opinion, I could be wrong because there was a time where he went to jail. He spent some time and whatever. But what a fantastic movie that played specifically in that that light of the revolutionary.
Right.
And I say this to say is that it's so hard to take a biopic, especially when people aren't alive anymore, to kind of talk about it. And there's some people, unless they're involved, like the family, his wife,
Right.
the daughters, and all that stuff, and they can coach you. But so that was Ryan Coogler, who did Black Panther, and what a phenomenal job! It was just a great watch. I don't want to spoil it for anyone and Lakeith Stanfield, who many people know from Atlanta. He got his start in Atlanta.
Did he?
Yeah, he was the guy on the couch. He was the weed
That's
guy.
right.
He was the weed guy that was just like, yeah, man, like
That's
why don't you
right.
just?
That's right.
He was just like a funny character that was like the guy on the couch, So, great movie, great movie, and yeah, so check it out. Gets quiet. Gets quiet. U.S. deaths reaching 490,000. I think we're up to 500,000 now.
Okay.
I think it went up another notch.
All right.
So my trip to Chicago
Was canceled. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that was around the time we were getting some bad weather.
Yeah. The funny thing was they did not cancel my flight, right? but the client said, "Hey, weather's getting kind of shitty. You know what? We're gonna cancel. Like, don't worry about it." So
Okay.
I canceled.
Mm-hmm.
It took an hour or two on the phone to cancel. Oh, you sure? So basically, they were saying, "Well, your flight's not canceled yet. So if you cancel it, it's almost like a fucking Uber. Like, if you cancel it, you got to pay. If we cancel it, you don't pay." So I'm saying, ma'am, like, and I'm talking to some Indonesian person outsourcing the telecom, I'm sorry, sir, you cannot cancel until the blah, 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 blah. And I have the assurance, by the way, insurance, by the way, which protects me from all this, and I'm able to, but I don't tell them that until once I get in trouble, and I go, but I bought the insurance. And they say, oh, why didn't you tell us that? Like, what the fuck? You weren't going to give me the refund or whatever it was. Then after doing that for an hour and a half, 45 minutes,
God,
the
it's
client
so-
calls and says,
so
"Hey,
damn
I got
frustrating.
a flight through. Why don't you come on?" And I was
What?
like, "What?" I was like, "Bro, I already canceled, man. It's too late. It's not gonna happen. Do it next." And I'm not interested in going to Chicago when it's 2 degrees. Like I won't get to see any of this. I'll be looking for a place to take a piss and warm up. So no, thank you. Let's try it again when the weather warms up. But my.
So no Chicago for you.
So no Chicago this week for me. But I did get the refund. I got all my stuff done and no problem.
Jesus.
Yeah. All that for nothing.
All that for nothing.
Yeah.
Do you know what the weather was like in Chicago?
2 degrees.
No. Okay.
No snow.
No snow. Just
No
cold as
snow.
fuck.
Just cold as fuck. There was a breathing hazard out. They had
Breathing hazard.
Yeah, like in other words, don't go outside and breathe. You'll crystallize. Like they said, it's so cold that the air will crystallize in your throat. Like, you don't remember when we had that, the polar vortex?
Well, yeah, but that's see.
They call that a bad air condition. Like, in other words,
No, I
not healthy to go walk around and go
I
sightseeing.
I understand. And you know what? I really wish people would stop treating us like fucking pussies, and because that you
got
can
it.
decide that for yourself.
Yeah.
It's fucking 2 degrees outside. I'm not going
But you still can.
to around and look at a bean
Right.
and shit like that. So there's no need for hey, ice crystals might develop in your throat, and
Why not? Why wouldn't you want to?
just
You could still do what you want to do.
because that's always been the case.
Yeah, but
That's never
that's like
never
saying we
not
should never have weathermen.
been the thing.
Why have a weatherman? Why should the news report the weather?
Let's go for it.
It's pointless.
Let's see what happens.
But you could choose to turn it off. Like,
Let's see what happens. Let's see what would happen in life if we didn't have an
but why is
expectation
that
of
your
what
call?
was going to happen.
Why is that your?
I'm
call?
just curious as to what would happen. I'm just curious as to how we would go about doing things
We're in John's world.
if
y'all.
there was
If
no
you're- if you're in-
expectation of what was going to happen. You need to put food in the fridge. Okay?
Okay.
There's nobody has told you what the weather
Why don't
is
you
going
do it?
to
Why
be
don't
like.
you do it? Like, why don't you just shut everything off and-
What I'm saying is if like we seem to always be looking for it's okay to go ahead and do this
got you.
because
Yeah.
the weather is a certain thing, or it's I do it too. I take a look at the weather and say, oh, okay, maybe I'll go to the
maybe
park,
we'll go to
or
the park,
maybe
yeah.
we'll, something like that. I get it. I get it. But what I'm saying is that for the longest time we've existed without that, without the ability to know what was going on, and you still had to get shit done.
Yeah.
So my question is always, okay, so if you didn't know that,
Right.
would you still not go to the, if you didn't have food in the house and you
Yeah.
had to go to the grocery store, would it make a difference what the weather was if you were going to go out and put food in the fridge? That type of thing.
So what if you? Okay, but the scenario, I guess the scenario would. It is a fun exercise, and it's what if.
Right.
And what ifs are always good for that. Like what if Superman?
Right, yeah,
fought
they're
the
always
Hulk?
right, exactly.
They're always good for
That's what the Watcher was for.
Right. So, but the idea is like, hey man, I wish somebody would have fucking told me that this grocery store was closed after walking through 300 meters to get to the store in 2-degree
Yes.
weather, and the fucking store's closed.
Yes.
But no one told me that.
Yes.
So you get there, fuck,
I-
I'm in John's world.
No,
And
no.
walk back and just,
Yes.
and when you could have avoided it by being in everyone's world.
Yes.
All right.
I'm not saying.
I got it.
I'm not saying it.
I didn't
works.
say it would be fun, right? You didn't say
I'm
it'd
not
be
saying
fun.
it works. I'm just saying that we have to recognize that part of us existed, and maybe sometimes we need to put down the seeking of approval to go ahead and do something, and just go ahead and do what we need to go ahead and do.
True. But this is why, like, people, all the partners at my company, and they live up in the mountains,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and they work in the city. They're in the city Monday through Friday. But Friday at 1:00, these motherfuckers are headed to the hills. They go upstate and they go bury themselves in the mountain. They throw their cell phones leave them in the car.
Mm-hmm.
They never fucking do it. They grab their guns and they love shooting and hunting
Mm-hmm.
and making deer bologna and all. They come back Monday. Hey, we made some bologna for you. You know,
Sounds delicious.
it was actually pretty good. It was actually pretty good. Well, actually, they take the deer after they hunt. They cut it and they send
you
it to
gotta
a guy.
cut it. It's yeah.
And it's a. By the way, this thing is an art.
Oh yeah, it's not. You
Oh,
can't. Yeah,
no, this ain't
people
just-
just think like you kill it and drag it home. No, you
drag it,
there's
throw it on the fire.
shit you got to do. You gotta blood it, and you gotta butcher it properly.
You got to
and-
trim it. You got to
it's
grind
not
it.
just- yeah.
You grind it and then you smoke it and it's a whole process.
I
But
got-
I say this to say that they come back off the mountain
Mm-hmm.
from the weekend. Every weekend. This is every weekend. And it's like, oh shit, this is going on. The news is going on. They go, what's that? What you talking? And then it's like we play Monday of catch up of they weren't paying attention to anything that was going on.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's a good thing. They seem to like it. They love the fact that they just unplug themselves from society, and then they get into, Monday through Friday rat
Yeah.
race, go up to the mountains and relieve, take the valve off. So it is some.
It is. I mean, yeah. It's so easy to go down rabbit holes when you're getting
Yeah.
involved in shit, and you start hearing, like this whole Senator Ted Cruz thing about homie deciding that he's
Go to
gonna
Cancun.
go to Cancun with the family,
Yeah.
get called out for it, and then say, well, he was just dropping the kids off,
Yeah.
and he's being a good dad, and dropping the kids off, and sorry that he wasn't there, because there are two trains of thought in this. Okay, number one, okay, your state is in an emergency.
Yep.
Texas is hit hard. When I first heard that, Texas was having problems, I was like, oh, look at these motherfuckers. They just they
pussies.
don't know how to deal with snow.
Right.
And then I saw how much snow they got. I was like, oh, okay, I'm sorry, my bad. That's some shit.
When you see fucking icicles coming through your light fixtures.
Yeah.
And you're not prepared.
And you don't have nothing.
A shovel.
I'm like, do you guys even have coats? Do you guys?
Coats. I have a couple of friends.
Coats
in Houston,
and gloves and-
and two clients in Dallas, and they were just like caught off guard. No,
Yeah.
They didn't have salt. Like there's no salt.
Right.
So they had to use pool salt, which is
10
10 times more expensive.
it's more expensive.
Because it's made for pool. And by the way, it's the same shit, and they just
Is it really?
a little
For the most part.
Maybe a chemist, maybe
Yeah.
Dr. White, Mr. White will tell us there's a difference in it, but it's not that much far off.
Yeah.
One blue crystal or something away from it.
Well, even the mindset though has to be totally different because I mean, look, we live up here in the Northeast. The weather that we've had, it snowed more in the last couple of weeks than it snowed like in the last 4 years.
Absolutely.
But still, if we know that there's going to be a storm, okay, we know how to prepare for it. We know, okay, got to head to the gas station, make sure you got gas in the car, make sure you got food in the house.
Yep.
Make sure that you got your shovels, you got all this. You
Bag of rock salt.
make sure your boiler is set to a certain thing. You want to make sure your pipes don't freeze.
Yep.
Check if you got enough time. Check the insulation on your pipes
Winterized.
and winterize and all that stuff like that. And you're good to go and you're ready.
Yeah.
You hunker down and stuff like that. Everything's charged up, and if you got a generator, make sure the generator's good.
Yeah.
and-
Well, it's sad because some people, did stupid things like go sit in the car in a driveway in their garage, car running. Oh, well, we needed to stay warm and charge the phones.
Yeah.
Well, there's
Okay,
carbon monoxide.
There's carbon monoxide, and when are you gonna die?
Yeah. And oddly enough, look at all the fucking Tesla guys that are like, what the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? And they're like, sorry, sir, it's
your shit
need
don't work.
Yeah, you need electricity to, but that's not what they said. And it's like,
Hey,
hey, man.
this is how life sort of intervenes in that.
So they showed a picture with a guy with a generator plugged up to his power thing, and they said double whammy, like you pay gas
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
you could have just put gas in your truck and fucking drove off.
The Germany tried to do this several years ago.
Mm.
They tried to convert most of their national power sources
electric.
from renewable sources.
Right.
A lot of solar, a lot of wind, and whatnot. And what they found is that they were actually burning more fossil fuel
I believe it.
because there were times when they had to fire the plants back up.
Yep.
And then in doing so, they ended up burning more fossil fuel than if those plants were maintained on a continual basis.
I believe it. I mean, because listen, there's so much oxymoron in a lot of this stuff, and it's like the guys that try to sell you solar panels all the time.
Oh,
and
fuck,
it's
I
like
see them. I'm in Home Depot like 3 times a week.
now
I'm in Home
yeah,
Depot,
this is your thing.
and I see these dudes all the fucking time.
Peddling this fucking thing. And the thing is that the diversion of it, like, well, I think we talked about it last week, like, oh, well, you don't have to pay the electric company, but you pay the solar company.
Yeah.
Now, a new bill.
Right.
And every person that I've gone to that I went solar, it's great, I love it, this and that. I said, can you just show me the bill and the statistics and show me your household bill? Not that I'm being nosy and I want to know, but I just want to see, like, your wallet, like, what your household expenses are. And show me that, and show me that you had a savings.
Right.
If there is anyone that I've ever seen, there's only been like $100, like $75 you saved for the year.
For the year, $75.
$75.
You lose $75.
I lose that on a bottle.
Yes.
That's a day at the.
That's like putting your wallet down and then waking up and then say, wait a minute, I thought I had a 20 in my fucking wallet.
Yeah. Nothing like finding that 20 in the washing machine though.
Oh yeah, that feels good.
That
doesn't it?
feels great. Or finding money in your pocket that you just put on a pair of pants and
Yeah.
go, a tenner.
Right, exactly.
That sounds great. My
Which
luck's
makes you,
changing.
right, my luck's changing, and then you realize, damn, that's all it took was finding out $5 bills in your pocket, and then
Make
you
you
feel
happy.
great.
Feel great.
Now you feel the world's all yours. You thinking about all this shit you can
I
do
know.
with a $5 bill.
I know. You start planning for the future.
Start
Like,
planning shit. Oh, $5. Damn, I can get lunch. I can get
I am up. This is great.
Yeah, man, but it's interesting how a lot of these ideas we had about the world, and so now we had a pandemic, and now we have these snowstorms, and a lot of these views are being come to light. Like nobody's bitching about plastic now.
Right.
You ever notice that?
Yeah,
Since the
single-use
coronavirus, nobody has said shit about us using too much fucking plastic.
I mean, I think we're just kind of like one track minded. Like we can only do one thing at a time.
Yeah.
I think society, like if you watch the news, like a guy got shot the other day for doing graffiti, like a cop.
Okay.
It was, hey, you put the spray, and it turned into this thing. He shot back, blah blah blah, and and it's like, damn, graffiti. Like, I mean, a guy gets shot over it, and now cops shot at. It turns into this whole big thing.
This whole big thing, yeah.
And the police union is like, well, we'll do anything to stop crime, and while the idea seems you have to keep patrolling,
Right.
which one comes first, chicken or the egg.
Mm-hmm.
My problem with, and I saw this with our friendly Mayor de Blasio saying, they were asking for more cops and saying the subways are getting out of hand, which I've seen.
Yes.
And when it's cold, it's always worse because these guys are just
Yeah,
cold.
they camp out in the, they camp out in the subway.
Super camp out, and
And all day camp out. Like
Yeah.
it used to be like they would be there maybe like overnight, and in the morning they'd clear out.
Right.
But in the winter they're there.
they're
all
all
the
day, all day, all night, and they're pitching tents and all that stuff. My problem is the efficiency and the management of our New York's finest, and I personally am a little annoyed, not to the fact that I've written any letters about it or anything, but I'm tired of I see 6 cops in a bunch.
Yeah, you've mentioned this several times.
fraternizing
Yeah.
And showing their phones and laughing and giggling and someone come to ask you for instructions and it's like, huh, what?
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute, you stopped me for this? The other day, unfortunately, by my shop, we've had another random act
Oh, another?
savages. And they had a party there. Someone rented the place. Mm-hmm. And some guys couldn't get in, and they decided to shoot at the place. So, hey, we can't get in, so no one can have fun. Savages. I mean, this is just pure savagery. Queen's finest. I say this to say that when the cops came, of course, they come and look at our cameras and
Right.
and hey, you guys. I'm like, well, you know, we're like the neighborhood snitches.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, dude, there's fucking cameras here. Stop acting up. That's a deterrent.
Right.
It's meant to deter you fuckers from,
Right.
you know, hanging out here. Anyway, so the bigger picture was, there was a gang of cops at the doorway. We couldn't even come through our back entrance, you know, through the back, so we all had to go to the front. And we're renovating right now, so we tore down walls. We're making the shop bigger, and we're trying to clean out our mess. We're a little bit hoardy on our.
Gotcha.
You know, we have too much inventory and not enough smalls, but too many larges. You know, that kind of thing.
Right.
So I say this to say is that the cop was parked in our driveway. My truck is there and everything, and he had a flat tire. So the cop had a flat tire, the
Okay.
van. It was a van, and they were in the van, coffees, donuts, and and then she said, now obviously I'm wearing a mask. I'm in all black with the, you know, and I come up to the car door. I mean, because they're blocking the the walkway where I have to. It's shoveled. It's ice and I'm like, excuse me. I said, by the way, your tire's flat. And this fucker like what? And all of them just like E.F. Hutton, boom, boom, boom. Hey, what'd he say? What? You did what? What? I said, you have a flat. And I have my mask on, so obviously you can't hear. But because they're not paying attention and they're just having a good old time, you see this guy come up to you, and all of a sudden they just like, you know, maybe I thought I saw him like reach for his hand on the side, you know, because he was caught off guard.
Right.
But the point is like you're out there, you're working,
Right.
like you're working. At least pay some
You're
attention.
supposed to be attentive
kind
and
of
shit
what's
like
going
that.
on, yeah. So they were just kind of like fraternizing. I get it. You got to make the time go by, but that's one of those positions that I don't think you can fraternize. Like,
But yeah, you've made this point several times. It's like, man, do all of y'all need to be hanging out here at this one spot?
Yeah.
Can't y'all like break this shit up into two and have two?
Yeah.
Okay, so this group of three hang out over here, and maybe
Right.
that other group of three can hang
Right.
out over there. You know, Lord forbid something happens.
I mean, where's the captain? Where's the people, the real people that are like supposed to be watching this shit? And it drives me nuts.
That's
you know?
why you always get that argument about cops.
Yes.
Because of shit like that, and the incident with, you know, you talked about it before about the shitty cop you ran into when your shit got broken into and or shit got stolen.
It happens all the time. I mean,
and it's just it's one of those things where maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just the environment, maybe it's just if that is what your impression is of cops, then when something happens that is probably not a police officer's fault or whatever,
right.
your opinion is going to be, well, yeah, because he's a fucking idiot and he's not doing his job, and that's why he should go to fucking he should get his badge taken away.
Have you seen American Skin?
Why does that sound familiar?
So the kid from The Great Debate, what's his name? The guy looks like Jimmy Butler.
I know you're talking about.
Nate.
I know you're talking about.
Talented guy. He's
Yeah.
very talented.
He did the thing on Nat Turner.
Yes.
Yeah,
He
okay.
did the Nat Turner story. He just created something called American Skin, which is a came out a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago.
Okay.
And it's a prolific look at unjustified shooting of a kid in a car with his father. And
Okay.
He's taking his kid. Anyway, trying to recap the story and why it's relevant to. He shows they live in California. He's driving a beat up car. He's going through a town or whatever else, and the guy says he was speeding, whatever, pulls him over, asks for ID, blah blah blah. The kid's a smart ass kid. He grows up in a he's a smart kid. He's like, well, you can't pull us over. You blah blah blah. I know my rights. Blah blah blah. This and that. And his father's like, listen, shut the fuck up. Like, yo, do what they say. He was like, no, this is bullshit, Dad. They And he was like, not when you're black. This is okay at school for you guys to talk about this shit, but not in real life. The talk.
Right.
This is not the time when it's just you in the middle of a road with
Yeah.
not in a public place where people could defend you.
Yeah.
And it's you and the officer. You're gonna lose.
You're gonna lose
that
this
argument.
This is an argument you're gonna lose.
You're gonna lose.
You're gonna lose it.
And while I get it, your civil rights may be broken and violated. This is one you have to take for the team, and come back and fight later.
Yes, come back
To
and
come
fight in a
home.
different way. Yes.
So all he said was the same thing. He was like, I just need you to get home. Your only objective is should be comply with the officer, no matter how degrading it is, no matter how, bite your teeth and come home. And me and you we'll figure this out and we'll get them.
Right.
We'll figure this out. And the kid just fucking goes off, pulls out his phone and said, I'm gonna start taping. Pop. Guy shoots him.
Ugh.
Cops like, I was scared for my life, blah blah blah. This, and there's, and I'm like, what? Fucking a 14-year-old kid, like he's with his father. But no matter how much talking, he was like, well, you guys playing that music and you all dressed the same and you all this and the guy was like, what the fuck planet are you from? Well, the cycle goes with
It just goes round.
it just
around,
keeps
around,
going.
around.
And he finally goes and at the trial they found him not guilty. He goes and
Find the officer not guilty.
found the officer not guilty,
Okay.
found the shooting justified, and he rallies up his boys. They were all army vets. They were all like, they were army guys, and they're back. He's working a janitor at school, but in his heyday he was a fucking Navy SEAL. Which is another sad story. Of
Yes.
like why those guys
He's a Navy SEAL.
get
Why is he not a
outcasted.
janitor now?
Right. And so they go rally up, they go get the cop, and they have a trial. They make their own trial
Ooh.
to the precinct, like assault on precinct. He brings them
Uh-huh.
in the precinct, gets his P. Okay, he's like, oh, these people are my fucking P. He takes 5 guys out of the jail, or he makes his own jury up, and tries the guy. And they have this dialogue. I can't shock you didn't see this thing. It's a really great movie, and I don't want to give away the ending because the ending is paramount. Like it really boils up to this. It's kind of like think of that scenario with a John Q type of
Okay.
mentality. Like I'm not going nowhere until I get justice.
Okay.
And I want my son back, and that's his whole thing.
It sounds a lot like that. Sounds interesting.
It's very good. It's very
American
good.
Skid. It's. Do you remember there was a series on. It was a network series on. I think there were 3 seasons of it, but it was called American Crime.
Yes, I do. But I don't. Which episode though? Because there were so many.
Well, there were 3 seasons.
Okay.
There were 3 seasons, and I don't know what you're doing.
No, I'm just making
Okay. All right.
because it keeps shifting. I don't know if you see it. It's sliding.
Okay. It's sliding left and right.
Yeah.
But basically, what it did, it took a crime,
Yeah.
a crime that took place, and it basically showed it to you from the perspective of all the players who were in it, the accused, the victim, the institutions that were involved, and whatnot. And it never made a judgment. It basically said these are all the things that we have to consider. We
These
consider.
are the facts. Yeah.
These are not necessarily the facts, but these are the things that come into play with that. So, this person who's accused of this crime, it's easy to sort of vilify that person as a horrible person that did blah 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 blah. But then you don't understand the environment that person is in. The victim may just be an innocent victim, or are they an innocent victim?
Right.
Did they play a part in this? To which, if they made a couple of decisions,
Right.
they wouldn't have found themselves in that situation.
Is it a wrong place, wrong time, or
Yeah,
is it?
it doesn't play a blame game. What it basically says is that there's so many other things to consider, and what we narrow it down to is this moment where we have 12 people that say this person is guilty or innocent, and it never gets to that point. But it basically says, okay, now we know all this, and basically says, what do you think? And then it goes on to the next thing. And there were 3. There was one that involved an immigrant. There was one that involved
I gotta check that out.
potential rape, and I can't remember what the third one was.
The reason why I went to watch Breaking Bad was because sorry, the reason I went to go watch Breaking Bad was because of the success and the
Well, you like that other series he's in.
Your Honor,
yeah.
and it's finished now. It's over.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it is over, and it has been a roller coaster ride like you cannot believe. I just wanted to stop swinging. Gravity swinging here. Yeah, but we're fine. But the series just took. You don't know who's the bad guy, good guy type of thing, which we love. It was kind of like the Sopranos way they did it.
Right.
And when the end I don't want to spoil it for anyone because this is such a good series, and I'm happy it's not going into 3 or 4 seasons. It's
Okay.
It's over.
It's over. It's done.
That and The Undoing was like that. It had its crime.
Had its day, and now we're
Yeah.
done.
But the fucked up part of it all was what you just mentioned, the thought process of who's a criminal.
Mm-hmm.
And the criminal is, this guy was selling weed. He was
Yeah.
he's a criminal. He's the guy.
Mhm.
He's the first option. And like, instead of doing a little bit of research or perspective or
Mhm.
getting in the head of what happened here, and that's why you like when you get those detectives that are like those true crime detectives.
Yeah.
Like what was his name? Mahershala Ali played in
True Detective.
True Detective.
Yeah.
When you get this psychosis going into them of how they think or how they come to that conclusion, it's refreshing to know that. But unfortunately, it just doesn't happen like that in life.
Right. Right.
It's like, hey man, we don't want to drag this thing over.
Right.
Go find us a junkie to say it was a guy
Yeah.
looked like this. Pete, you're it. Tag, you're
Yes.
it. And that's what Your Honor exposes. Your Honor exposes how this crime had to get covered up by any means, and all the collateral damage that happened below it was irrelevant. And the people were saying, no, this is a person. You just can't frame any guy from the lower Ninth Ward, Louisiana. You just can't take one of these young African American gang members who got
Right.
caught up selling crack because he wanted to feed his family,
Right.
and make him part of this crime so
crime.
that someone else can go free. And that's what the whole thing is about. That whole righteousness of the accusation and the crime. And
Well, we do act pretty righteous.
yeah,
We do act pretty righteous, and we're not as enthusiastic with the backtrack as we are with the accusation. You know,
Yeah.
For some reason, the Central Park 5 came to mind.
Oh.
As we started talking about this.
Boy.
And we know what the things were said about them. The detective who pretty much framed these kids and doing it, and it was all about getting the arrest as opposed to getting to what the truth
getting
is.
what the truth is. Yeah.
Come to find out that these kids had nothing to do with it, but the enthusiasm of saying, "Hey, these weren't the dudes. We fucked up." That doesn't happen. That gets like a little blurb in the newspaper.
Vindicated.
You know.
Yeah. Vindicated and walked out free and
Yeah.
done. And well, you're free now, aren't you? Like,
There was a what movie was this? I want to say it's Newport News. It's a movie with Michael Keaton, but it's about a newspaper, and they're publishing and they're reporting of a crime that happened.
really?
And when they charged these two black kids,
Okay.
for the crime, they had like a photo of them plastered all over the thing, and it says crime committed and stuff like that and whatnot. And as investigation got further, it became kind of evident that these kids didn't do it. And so I want to say it's Michael Keaton, who was the editor of the paper, or so reporter, didn't like the idea that we were just going to move past it. He was like, no, we need to be as enthusiastic about
Why we started this journey?
about why we started this, how we got here, what we reported, what we
Right.
were wrong on, and we need to do it. And there was this one thing where they were releasing the next day's press, and they had to stop the press, and they had to stop it because they wanted to do a different thing. If you know anything about printing presses, you got to frame it and all that stuff like that and whatnot. So they literally stopped the press, which you rarely
Right,
do.
right.
You rarely stop the printing
I
of
know.
a newspaper to redo it again.
It's hard because you got to put all those things. You have to put the roles in place.
Randy Quaid was in it too.
Oh,
who,
okay.
who was kind of hilarious. And he says, "You got to say it. You can't do it and not say it. Stop the press." And
I
he
love
did it.
Randy Quaid.
But what they did was they took the same photo that they used to accuse them, and they used that same photo and exonerated them. And in the newspaper said they didn't do it. And that was the thing that they
Polarized.
They changed,
Just
right? They just switched it. They used the same imagery, but then they said no, these guys are innocent.
Wow.
And the story was about basically how we report on stuff. Basically, not because we have information, but because this is getting us to sort of this like righteous end that we have and whatnot. That documentary about the
Trial by
media.
Trial by media.
When it takes all these cases,
Yeah.
and it takes all the things that have been said, and says, no, this is how this is wrong because
Right. Imagine if you didn't
blah
hear
blah blah
that,
blah
you know.
blah, and how that affects everything else.
The narrative counts. I mean,
The narrative counts. You're
the
exactly
narrative
right.
counts. I mean, it makes a big difference on how it was originated to you,
Yeah.
and how it plays out. And then you're right. Where's the guy that says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I fucked up"?
Yes.
They all have egg on their face, and they don't want to backtrack it. Well, it was true at the time.
Right.
Interestingly enough, in news, world news, global news, I may be getting this wrong because I only heard it on CBS radio or something like that. I heard that Australia has put a law into place with Facebook saying you have to credit the sources. You have to verify and credit the sources of things that appear newsworthy or media-ish. They're holding them accountable to some media news with Facebook.
Holding Facebook accountable?
Yes, about republishing things. Now, this is a dangerous topic because it turns into whoever said it was news.
Right.
And that's what Facebook is saying. They said, we didn't say this was news. This is what people are saying. This is
right.
people throwing reader board stuff out,
Yeah.
saying, yeah, Joe Blow is... And so they're just looking for this accountability. And so Facebook kind of took I guess we just won't stream in your country. And turned off filters.
And turned off yeah.
And said, well, you get, you don't get Facebook over there.
I
if
remember,
you can't handle it.
I remember reading something about that. There's this magazine I follow called Quillette.
Quillette?
Quillette.
Oh, Quillette.
And it started in Australia. And it's basically about a bunch of people who they tend to comment and research on social issues and whatnot.
Okay.
And they tend to have a very, very heterodox approach to things.
Ooh, what's that word?
Heterodox. So, in other words, it has nothing to do with what is the pervasive notion. It has more to do with the evidence that is presented.
Gotcha.
For it. So
That's called heterodox?
heterodox. You have a very heterodox approach to it. So you're going to suspend your judgment. This is going to be very interesting.
No, don't worry about
Put
this.
the YouTube.
Don't worry about
Wee.
that. Yeah, don't worry about that.
I'm going to suspend my judgment basically until I see a certain amount of evidence pointed me in one way or the other. So I'm not going to call this person a racist until you present to me some information that classifies him as a racist.
Okay.
And so therefore I won't. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to remain neutral until valid information slides my way.
Kind of like our innocent until proven guilty theory.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which would be fun if it worked.
Which would be fun if it worked.
That
And
doesn't
so
work. You can't say...
and for some reason they've been targeted by Facebook, probably be on the same level as what you're saying.
Yeah.
They make opinions about things, but I guess because they're not credited sources, they're not allowing them to publish.
Right. That's what this ad
Yeah,
said.
that might have something to do with it. And so it's difficult to now get Quillette on Facebook. Now, I have no problem doing that. If I see a Quillette article that I find interesting, I'll read it. And if I find it interesting, I'll post it on Facebook. But what they said was that a lot of posts from their magazine have been taken down off of Facebook. Now, that hasn't happened on my post, and nobody's watching my post, so
Well, Cornell released a guideline, again, not to make you do anything, but just showed that there was some research behind it that stated the obvious. The Captain Obvious is if there's they call it the wow pause.
The wow pause.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they said when reading a post, obviously this is because of the everyone's home reading forward. And they said you have to realize that you are part of the problem by forwarding things because people know you and respect you, your friends.
Okay.
And so when you go, wow, this is crazy, they say pause, read it, understand it before you forward it.
Yeah.
And they said the study showed that most people forward it first and then read it. And then read it and go, hey, what? Fuck,
Yeah.
this guy was,
Yeah.
I didn't mean to, well, fuck it. but they don't understand what they've hurled into the universe. This vector of spew of garbage. You know,
Vector spew of garbage. I love that.
It's a spew of
vector of garbage.
Yeah, it's just you just throw it out there. It's like spitting in the wind.
Yeah.
You have no idea who it affects.
What's going to happen,
What happens,
yeah.
and you just spit out the car, or you throw garbage out the window.
Mm-hmm.
There's no effect of what comes with the consequences with it. And so I thought it was interesting that Cornell would do something like this, but they do this shit all the time. They create these little studies and things.
A lot of, and the problem happens is that a lot of them have, but because they do it to say that certain things aren't true or whatever, they get accused of being biased.
Right.
And they're like, no, we're not being biased.
Right.
We've kind of like, this is like fact.
Right.
This is about as close to fact as we can make it. So when you make a statement that so like most
men say that blah blah blah.
yeah, or something like that, or men are more inclined to do this, or we talked about police violence. When you say that white people are more victims of police violence than black people.
Right.
A lot of people don't like hearing that, but that's actually the truth. So in a percentage basis and a numeric basis. But
yeah, okay.
no, but what I'm saying was when you say that, you get accused of being something else, other than being somebody who just pointed out a statistical fact. So that when you say something else, you have to say, okay, well, hey, we have to remember that these are what the statistics say. Oh, you're pointing out statistics, therefore you don't believe black people are victims of crime. No, I'm not saying that.
Yeah, no,
you know what I'm saying? We don't have to choose one end of the spectrum.
Right.
We operate in the middle of the table. We don't have to choose this side of the table or that side of the table.
True. I think people always want to just want the answer instead of the test. They don't.
Yeah,
they want the
answer.
answer.
They want the answer instead of the test. That's a good one.
And the biggest thing comes from I call that the Family Feud style. Because it's what I like. Family Feud. You're familiar with the show, and it's a couple of hosts, and most notably now Steve Harvey is
Steve
the
Harvey,
which drives my wife crazy. Yeah, she can't stand the guy. I don't know why she has beef with him. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that we asked 100 people. They do the survey. Survey says, right? And we've heard this for years, and people don't understand what happened there. We asked 100 people. Where did you ask these 100 people? Were they 100 people in Brooklyn, or were they 50 in Wyoming?
Yeah.
And so the answer regionally has a different response.
Right.
And so the same comment against what you mentioned with those studies, that's where people get it misconstrued, or maybe I'm saying it wrong, where people go, white men are 10 times more likely, blah, blah, blah. When you look at it from a nationwide study, the answer is yes. You look at it in 5 boroughs, the answer is no.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
So regionally, those statistics, and this is why it all boils down to perspective. Which way are you looking at it from?
Right.
Because one could make the argument either way, and that's the beauty of having argument.
Well, yeah.
I know he did it, but he didn't do it because he was a murderer. He did it because he wanted to feed his family.
But you also have to have honest argument.
Totally agree.
And you also have to, you can't, and you also can't, if you're the victim of a crime, there's nothing you can tell that victim of a crime that, crime statistics are down.
Sure.
That's not.
Yeah, no, 100%. It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way.
It
It just,
work
okay,
that
so what? Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
I got jacked. Where's this motherfucker at so
Right.
that we can hang him and string him up?
Right.
So sometimes we sort of like play this game as if, like, have you ever like seen a debate?
Yes,
And
of course.
the debate is you make points.
Yes.
And then somebody will always invariably say, well, I remember when this happened.
Yes.
And to me, you're sort of like throwing a wrench in the machine.
Yeah,
because this isn't about what you've experienced.
Right.
It's a part of it.
It's a part of it.
It's a part of it.
But it's a general.
But we have to understand that there's a larger thing that we have to be willing to acknowledge it first.
Yes.
And if we're not willing to acknowledge it first,
that event.
yeah,
or
that event or whatever, then and if we're not willing to acknowledge that first, then we can't get into why this thing that happened to you is such a specific
Okay, that's fair.
problem. If we're going to say that there is rampant police brutality against black people, we have to defeat that narrative, because when it does happen to black people, we have to be able to point out, hey, in this case, we need to go forward so that we can punish this bad police officer and stuff. If we just make it like a thing that this always happens all the time, then
Cry wolf.
then the honest ones, then the legitimate ones, sort of like get thrown in with all the bullshit.
Well, true.
You know,
yeah,
and we run the risk of that. So we got to be careful when we make these claims, that we at least make these claims honestly.
it's true. And it goes to the old saying that justice is blind, right? And it's
Supposed
really
to be.
not. And it's really not.
Yeah.
So when the headline says 3 black men run through the blah 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 blah,
Yeah.
why not 3 men?
Exactly.
Why not just 3 men?
Yes.
Because then leave it up to people to go, who was he? Was he?
Yeah.
And they hear the crime and they go, oh, that's some white people shit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's some brother shit.
And what's a black man?
Yeah.
Well, are we black men?
Right. No.
Are we? I mean, we're on the
We're
yellowish.
Mutts. We're mutts.
Well, you know, we're on the yellow. I used to work at I used to work at Panera. I used to work with a couple of Mexican guys, and they lived in a bad neighborhood, and so every once in a while they would like have to deal with some rough stuff and whatnot.
Huntington.
And guys, he would come to work and he would say, "I got into a fight, man." And he would say, "These black guys just don't respect anybody," And I would say, "Well, I wouldn't say that about all black people."
Right.
And he said, "No, black people don't respect anybody." I said, "Look, man, that's not the case. You've had some,
Run across
some bad ones.
few
I'm
bad
sorry
ones.
about that. I'm a black guy, so you don't have a problem with me." He looks at me and he goes,
Yeah.
"You're not a black guy." I said, "No, I am."
Yeah, I think we've gotten that all
Sorry.
our life.
We always have.
We've gotten that all our life, and there's no, there's
How many times have you been in Manhattan and people just walk up to you, start speaking Spanish?
happens. Listen,
Dominican.
I spent 20 years in the hotel business. What the fuck you think? I've had. Listen, the housekeepers, by the way, by all means, think that speaking a different language, no one else can hear them, right? So
Yeah.
it's a hotel. It's 9:00 in the morning. We're servicing the rooms. Some people are still sleeping. Some people are still, but they. I say, hey, take it down. Take it down a little bit. Oh, see, I pick Spanish. They don't understand me.
So you
I
saying
said,
nobody here speaks Spanish but you?
I said it just doesn't matter what you're saying. It's the
Yeah.
volume, not the content. And they, yo habla español. I said no. I said yo luzca español, pero no habla. Oh,
Right.
you
I
look
can.
it,
I'm the same
I
way.
look it, but I don't speak it.
I
And they
look
go-
it, but I don't speak it.
and it's like, you said that, like, what the fuck? And I'm like, oh, you. So they what they would always say is, oh, you think you're gringo? You think you're American? So, and I'm like, no, that has nothing to do with it. Shut the fuck up. Like,
Yeah.
lower your voice. We got patrons here, and everyone's manual says quiet. The
Yeah,
guests,
everyone's going to
it's
say
a
shut the fuck
hotel.
up.
Oh, it's weird though.
But I'm your boss, so it doesn't really make a difference.
Yeah,
so shut
I mean,
the fuck up.
a lot of them it just goes so crazy when it comes to that. And where you had the guy remember a few summers ago where he was telling people to speak English in line.
Oh, yeah.
He was at one of those salad places. And,
Yeah.
why are you speaking so much Spanish? I think we forget. When what bothers some people. You have to just be kind of mindful. If you're any decent kind of person, you're kind of mindful of what would bother some people, like the talking on the cell phone out loud,
Right.
Or there's certain things that if you're not embarrassed on your own for doing them, there's nothing gonna stop you from
No.
embarrassing everyone else, right? So if you. Yeah, fucking Pete was an asshole.
Yeah.
And you're on a train and there's always
Yes.
people around you, or the kids. But thank God you haven't rode the public transportation system during school times, where these kids are
Oh, yeah, I've been on
fucking bitch, pussy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Someone's grandmother sitting there,
Yeah.
and they just sit there and they're just like crying inside, like, oh, these fucking kids have no respect. And it's like, if you're not embarrassed, and it's sad, it's very sad
Yeah.
that those kids even feel the need that they have to spew this vector
Yeah.
of hate, of just And to them, it's normal. They're so desensitized.
Yeah.
They don't think it's anything wrong with it.
No, they don't.
And that's the problem.
That's the problem. They need to be reminded of it. And
Yeah.
I think I've done that a couple times. Usually along on the railroad. There was a couple times that's like, there was some young people just mouthing off, and I saw a mom there with her daughter.
Yeah, it's just so.
And I for some reason it just got to me at that point. Sometimes it doesn't,
Right.
but sometimes it just got to me, and I was like, "Yo, fellas, you just like chill with your language a little bit, so that this,
Right, this kid doesn't have to
this
learn
little kid
this
doesn't
from
learn all
you.
that. Just put a chill on it just for a little bit." And they said, "Oh, okay."
Sometimes they get out of hand if they're in a group.
Yeah.
They get rambunctious.
They
and
can get rowdy. And as soon as I started it, I was like, "Oh man!"
You got to be prepared to put that genie back
You
in
do.
the bottle because
You do.
there's an end game to that. And
There's
some
an
guys,
end game to it. You got to be ready for it.
Some guys are not going to let that go.
Some guys won't. That's okay. Y'all can try me. Everybody thinks I'm soft. Go ahead.
Oh, you heard that first
Everybody
here.
thinks I'm soft. Go ahead.
Try Big Brother John.
Go ahead. Go for it.
I'm gonna try and get the hell out of here. This has been fun.
It has been fun, man. Good
Always
to see you
is,
back.
man. And what do you got for the week? Anything special?
More
Shift?
stuff. More stuff at the house. More
Okay.
working. I'm making dinner tonight. Making fish and chips tonight.
Oh, traditional.
Yeah.
Batter.
Making a batter. Making a
Okay.
beer batter.
Beer batter. Okay.
Beer batter. The chips are gonna be. I might do sweet potato fries.
Oh.
So not traditional fish and chips, but
Gotcha.
the batter is going to be a traditional.
Sweet potato fries
beer
are fun.
Yeah.
I can't do too many of them. Like they get
batter. Yeah,
overwhelming.
you gotta calm down.
Put a little coarse salt and a little parsley and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on what you like.
Yes.
I have a taste bud challenged family here that
Taste bud challenged.
one likes this one doesn't like that, one doesn't like fish, one doesn't like cheese.
You
One
just
doesn't-
make bowls of soup.
No, it's just go for yourself. Like get your own shit. Like just, and then it's like yesterday I made myself a breakfast bowl, right?
Mhm.
And my breakfast bowl is grits, sardines,
Ooh, sardines.
a fried egg,
I stopped eating sardines. I love sardines.
fried egg and a little bacon on top, chopped up in
Ooh,
there. Just
nice.
a nice bowl with some cheese and melted and butter.
That sounds delicious.
She doesn't eat any of that kind of stuff. So she's like, damn, you just made yourself breakfast. And I was like, I would have made you some of this
Mm-hmm.
because this is what I'm making. But you don't eat any of it. She was like, no, well, then make me something else. Make me something I like. I'm like, what's that? It's like 30 years later, you don't know what the fuck your wife likes. And I'm like,
You get with the sardines. You get the sardines in oil or water.
oil.
Got it. Yes, oil. Always go oil.
Because then I throw them in the fry pan. I mean, I drain out a lot of the oil,
Mhm.
but then I just drop them in the pan.
You could just drop it in the pan.
I like the ones with mustard. I like them in mustard.
Those are
oil.
good. Yes,
Those are good.
Those you could do like straight out the can.
Oh, man.
I love sardines.
I
I actually stopped eating sardines
The
when I started.
sodium. Yeah.
Well, yeah, the sodium kills me.
Yeah.
But then my wife is a big fan of sardines, so I wasn't buying sardines
Yeah.
anymore. But it's one of those things I forget how much I liked sardines.
Yeah. Then I cooked some diver scallops on Friday. Like just
Oh, you got fresh scallops?
pan seared. No, they were frozen.
Oh, frozen. Okay.
Frozen. But they're just
But
as
still,
good.
it's-
Just as good.
Yeah.
No one else eats that here. No one.
Okay.
So I did that in a lemon butter sauce. And I ate like a whole bowl of it by myself. It was so fucking good.
Usually like 4 is like in a serving.
Well, I had 10 or 12. It came in. It was 1 pound. I ate a pound of fucking scallops. Shame on me.
Scallops are delicious. I love scallops too.
All right, party people, we're going to get out of here. This has been Two Bros
That was
Podcast, episode
123.
123.
Dot.
Peace, party people.